as you can see, the garden looks quite different from last week's update. My husband was getting really excited that the blueberries were going to ripen soon, and I wasn't really paying attention to them because I just knew they weren't ripe yet. But he noticed that a whole bunch of goldfinches and cardinals and all the other types of birds around here were flying in there and eating the blueberries, which I did not notice at all. So I'm glad he was paying attention. They got, I would say, 2/3 of the blueberries that we had. So that's really upsetting, but at the same time, to focus on the positive, my husband made a Fort Knox in here to keep safe what we do have left. So you may not be able to see it, but this is bird netting, and he has it going all the way to the top of the bushes and all the way down to the ground. And he had one little opening for us to go in, and a cardinal found its way in, and he couldn't get out. The cardinal couldn't get out, so he put that trash bag so that to keep them out. That's our entrance. That's our doorway. So even though we don't have as many blueberries as we once had, at least we will actually be able to harvest the ones that we do. And he also saw a little couple baby groundhogs getting in our strawberry fence. And last week, if you remember, I showed that I covered all this with Agribon because I was trying to keep it safe from the birds. Well, this little groundhog was just getting in through because it was tiny. And it was crawling up underneath the Agribon and eating the strawberries. So I pulled the Agribon up. It wasn't doing its job or wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And my husband decided, you know what? We talk about it every year. We talk about fencing in the entire garden. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And so he is still in the process, but he's fencing in the entire garden, and he's giving me 3 big entryways so that we can still move mulch. But we're doing this. This is a 5-foot fence, plus we're doing electric fencing at the bottom and at the top. And then I'm thinking about, not just thinking, like I'm planning on doing my idea with the blackberries. I'm thinking about putting blackberries on the outside. I don't know, like tying them so they would come along the edge so that if something does climb up right before it gets to the top, like if a raccoon climbs up right before it gets to the top, it would be deterred maybe. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that, if you think it's futile or not. But anyway, so this inside fence is not needed anymore, so we will take that up, which will be nice to be able to get, at least once we get in the garden, we'll be able to get to everything. So those are the biggest changes. We have harvested a few strawberries. We've harvested some raspberries this week. We have harvested some tomatoes. Oh, and that I thought was a weed. I think they're called like 4 o'clocks or something. They're really pretty. And I didn't mean to leave that, but I actually planted that over here like 3 years ago. And, the seeds just spread, so I'm definitely leaving that. I love them. They're so pretty. We're still getting lettuce, which I'm really pleased about. I just didn't expect that with the 90-degree weather that we're having. As far as mulching, we finished mulching. I'll go in here and show you. This was pure weeds. We hadn't mulched it in, 2 or so years. So we finished mulching this section this week, and as you can see, that's our little mulch pile. There's barely anything left. So we are done mulching for the season, for the summer, and I left that mulch pile, and there's a little bit of mulch, but I left what little bit there is so that just in case we don't get any, we tend to get mulch only in the winter. Not sure why, because I'd rather have it in the summer when you have all the greenery. But anyway, when we have to in the fall cover our strawberries with mulch and chicken manure, I want to have some mulch, so I left a little bit. So all that's left is just keeping up with planting and harvesting. So that's nice. With all the fencing, we actually discussed having the whole fenced in, Fort Knox garden being in the future being our fruit garden, because that's what gets stolen anyway. That's what costs the most money, so that's what we want to protect the most. And then my husband went ahead and spread some tarp so that this summer and winter all that grass can die out, and then we'll cover that with chicken compost and mulch, and that can be things that don't get stolen for us, which are vegetables. So, your roots and your leafy greens. That's about all that doesn't get stolen from us, or from our garden. This week we pulled up all of our peas from this pea patch that I planted back in February. And what's left are the carrots that I interplanted between the rows of peas, and they're getting shaded anyway, so this will allow them to really bulk up. And then in between the carrots, I went ahead and planted some squash plants, and this actually gave me the idea. There was a volunteer squash that you can see looks pretty pitiful. That's just because it was shaded for all that time with the peaches, and I'm not sure if it will recover, but we'll see. But anyway, I went ahead and planted some patty pan squash and some more zucchini for when my plants over there bite the dust. So we'll go look at those because they're looking really, really good. We also harvested some asparagus this week. I know I've said this a lot, but I think we're done harvesting asparagus. The potatoes, even though, I have potato bugs and I've been dusting with DE, they look better than years past. And what I have noticed is I am going to go ahead and assume, although it could be my soil's better, but I'm going to assume it's because I have peas interplanted. We have a lot more beneficial bugs in our potato plants. So even though we are getting some potato bugs, I think those beneficial bugs are keeping them a lot more healthy than they have been in years past. So they're looking good. My corn's looking good. My beets are looking good. I plant nasturtiums every year, and for some reason every year they die, and these are flowering, so I'm very excited about that. Last year, I decided to heavily DE my green beans, and until they flowered. Says I've been having, what are those called? Bean beetles, Mexican bean beetles. I've been having major issues with those the last 3 years. And so last year I was like, okay, well, I'm going to DE the bean plants until they flower, and then once they flower, I'm going to leave them alone for the bees. And it really worked out. I haven't DE'd these at all this year, and so I'm really pleased. But they are in a section that I've been building up the soil for a long time, so maybe that's why. But I just wanted to show you, we are not getting beans yet, but you can see, get no baby beans. Won't be too long before we'll get some beans. I know I keep saying I'm going to show you the zucchini, but hold on. There's corn, cucumbers. I planted more. I'm getting caught in the bird netting. I planted more sweet potato slips. I'm just keeping doing that until I don't have any more beans and strawberries. Okay, back to my zucchini. So my idea with the beans last year, I went ahead and did with the zucchini this year, that I DE'd heavily until we started getting flowers. And then I just make sure that I put DE underneath the flowers at the base of the plant. And it seemed, I had my first zucchini, it seemed to do really well so far, because normally, I don't know if this looks good or bad to you guys, but normally my plants do not get this big. So I am very, very pleased. There's some more zucchini. So I'm very happy. Now, of course, I do have some squash bugs, but I just have to tell myself, not looking for perfection. That's hard for me. But I just keep, whenever I think of, actually what happens is, whenever I DE the potato plants, whenever I have extra DE in the bucket, then I'll just put some around the base of the zucchini plants. So here are the other potatoes. These are the first potatoes I planted. I also planted some poppies. I think that's what they are. I just got them at the Dollar Tree, so I'm happy that they're doing something. So we're done harvesting the peas, except we are finding some peas in our potato patch. So we're still getting some, but we're kind of in between harvests, I guess, at least for what we eat for lunch. Like, we ate our carrots, and then we ate our peas, and now we don't have carrots or peas. So I'm having to buy carrots from the store, so that's a little sad. But overall, I hope I'm not prematurely getting too excited over this, but I mean, I already see some red strawberries that the fencing is kept out, and oh, I hope it works. We'll just see. That's all we can do, is try our best and wait and see. And in the meantime, like Paul says, I'm just being thankful. I'm just walking out in the garden and being thankful for all that the Lord has blessed us with, not focusing on all the bad stuff that's happened, or, the animals or anything like that. So I think that is the whole update for the week, and I will see you next week. Have a great day. I did want to show really quickly that our cucumbers are growing up the side of the fence of the experimental garden, and we don't have any cucumbers yet, but I'm really excited with all the flowers, and that actually makes me excited for the main garden, that I have a fence that maybe in the future I can grow all sorts of things up the sides, and it just, increases my gardening space. So that's exciting. And then just to show you, we were able to harvest some kale from our kale patch. It looks pretty healthy for not being covered or anything.